Hey everyone! With Path of Exile 2's new league starting at the end of the month, I wanted to dig into one of my favorite tools for Path of Exile 1, which also supports Path of Exile 2, Exile UI. Let's dig in. First off, a quick overview. Exile UI is kind of a tool that has a bunch of different tools within it. None of these tools automate gameplay for you, so it's not against TOS, but they do prevent you from having to alt-tab in a lot of scenarios to get the information that you could get in other ways. So how do you install it? First thing is, if you already have it installed for Path of Exile 1, you're already good to go. You just need to launch it after having Path of Exile 2 open. If you launched it with Path of Exile 1 open, you do need to make sure you close that version and then launch it with Path of Exile 2 open so that it can reconfigure and be set up for Path of Exile 2. If you don't have it installed for Path of Exile 1 already, then what you'll need to do is navigate to this website, which I'll have a link in the description. And then first thing, download AutoHotkey version 1.1. When you go to this website and click download, there are two versions, version 2.0 and version 1.1. You want 1.1. Last time Lilokin tried to convert it over to 2.0, there were some features that weren't quite ported over properly, and so it didn't function properly. And so there's no real reason to go to 2.0 at this point. 1.1 is fine, so download that version specifically. Once you download, install it following the AutoHotkey install instructions. I just next through everything, and that works fine for me. Then come back to this website and go back to the download button. That will download a zip file, which you then extract wherever you want to extract it. I'm just going to extract it right here for now, since I already have a copy extracted where I want it. Normally, I would recommend moving it outside of your downloads folder, but for this example, you just extract it, and then you just run this AutoHotkey script. Once it's running, you're good to go. Once you have it installed and you've launched it with Path of Exile 2 open, you will have a gear in the upper left-hand corner. I like to go through and turn on the hide when not in use so it's not showing up all the time. But let's go through all the settings. So first, the general settings. By default, it closes after you close the game after a certain amount of time. And I like to let it keep running, so I turn that off. This would also prevent it from colliding with Path of Exile 1 versus Path of Exile 2. Because generally you're not closing one and opening the next game within a minute, but you can use this if you'd like. I turn it off. Browser features, it does have some third-party integrations with websites that it will try to work with. You can turn these features off by unchecking this box if you don't want it to be interacting with your web browser. Also, it does toggle caps locks at time, and so if you have that bound, some people bind caps lock to their push to talk. That can cause you to accidentally caps lock and push to talk when you don't want to, so you can uncheck this box as well. Screen checks, this will get filled out as you turn things on. By default, the only screen check you have is inventory. So what you do to set that up is you go into the game, you open your inventory, and then you calibrate the screen check, and then you can test it. If you test it, it says positive because my inventory is open. I close my inventory, and I hit test, and it says negative. That's working appropriately. Most of the time, that's all you need to do for screen checks, but there will be more that come in as other features get turned on. So if something isn't working right, you may want to come back and look at the screen checks, make sure that they're set up properly. It's also a built-in updater when there are updates to the application, which are relatively frequent. As suggestions come in, you can hit this green refresh button and it will show you all the most recent updates that are available. And you can pick anything that's out here just by clicking on it. And then you can hit apply and restart. It has a little short version of the patch notes for each of these. So if there's something specific you're looking for to be undone, you can back up to just before that patch note was on there. And then apply and restart. I like being on the most recent, so I will leave that. And there's a link for the full change changelog here. And then he's got a list of donations and how to donate. If you do use this tool and like this tool, it is not made by me. I recommend you donate to Lilokin, and this is how you would do so. So that's the general settings. So next, we're going to go through each and every one of these different sections and discuss what they do. So first up is the Act Decoder. To turn it on, you just hit this checkbox. For more detailed information, most pages have a wiki page button at the top that you can click. That will open the website right to the wiki page about it, but we'll go over it in video form here. So this is a decoder that helps you to determine how an act is laid out. So if we go to Act 1 and let's say we go to the Grailwood. This is a relatively early act. Then when you hold tab, it will have kind of a layout here. And it'll show like the entrance is, you know, one of these boxes. Then the Grim Tangle is in one of these boxes. And it's basically saying these can be kind of anywhere. So this is a relatively straightforward layout. If we were to go to the Red Veil, then you can see that there's two options. So we either come down this way to the waypoint, which that looks to be the one that we have. It looks like it's either there's a little bump out here or there's not. And so if we continue on, straight from the waypoint, it looks like we have the first one. So we can click on that, and that'll give you the layout of the map. And you'll know where the obelisks are. It'll help you to find where you're going. Now, these layouts may not be in the same orientation, so it lets you flip it around because it could be in any orientation. The next thing is the Act Tracker. Again, there's a wiki page link that you can use for more detailed information. But let's check to enable this. There's a lot of options here. So we'll go over the most important ones. So first things first, you have a few guide slots, and you can right click and hold to delete them. When you set up a guide slot, you can import a path of building. Not a lot of builds are doing path of building right now, but I hope they start to do them more because this is a very useful feature. So this is set up for a different character. But one of my favorite parts of this is the passive tree. So when you have your path of building imported, if you have your passive tree open and you have the screen check set up properly, when you hit tab, it will have an overlay that lines up and tells you where to put points in. If there are multiple trees, you can hit Q and W to go through. This is imported from PoE Ninja, so it only has the one tree. But if it had the full leveling tree, you could step through all the different levels. One thing that tip I was given is that if you hold left click, you move the skill tree. If you hold right click, you move the overlay. If you hold them both, it moves them both. So you don't have to move them individually. So you can find your way around and get things, your points put in the way you want them put in. It makes things very easy to find out where you're missing a point or you have an extra point. It also does your ascendancy. So if you have your points lined up, if you hit the 1, 2, 3, or 4 ascendancy buttons, this POB only has a 3 ascendancy version. It will put the layout over it so you know where to put points in. Next up on this is it also helps you through the acts. So let's turn that on. Right now, I believe it is set up for Act 1. So you can hide and show it by clicking this button, which shows up when you enable it. And if I were to go to Act 1 clear fell, which is right here. It tells you that when you first get here, you have a quest to turn in, and then you need to go to Clearfell. And when you switch zones, it is reading the logs. It sees that you've switched zones, and it moves on to the next area and tells you what you need to do. So kill this person and enter Grailwood. You can use these little arrows, left and right arrows, to switch between the different steps. It will give you some hints and some information about it. And if you click on this question mark in the middle, it will give you some information. If there's blue highlighted text, which let's see if I can find some, there will be swirls that point to the missing ones. Oh. Okay, follow the road straight. So if you hold tab, it tells you, a little screenshot of where you need to go. So, it can be very helpful. There's lots of parts built in that help guide you through and prevent you from missing quests that give skill points or resistances, and helps you through the acts. Now, when the new patch hits, if they do add additional acts, it'll likely break initially until it gets updated with the new path information. And you also can click this little white box and drag it around if you want it to be in a different spot. If it covers something, however you want to do it. There's some other settings here. You can have a timer. So if you want to track how long it takes you to go through the acts, you can have this timer. You can have it pause automatically when you're in your hideout so that your timer doesn't include, hideout time if you're making trades and stuff like that. You can make it fade out after so many seconds, so every time you zone, it shows where you need to go, and then it hides, and then you can still cursor over it to see it again. And then you can also change some of the way the other features work. Another thing to keep in mind is if you reset your status and you get to a different area. So let's move to like Act 2 Cruel Titan Grotto. And you want to catch the tracker up to where you are, you can hold the right arrow and it will skip right to what zone you're in without having to click the arrow over and over again. It's a very useful tool. I like using this in Path of Exile 1 just to prevent me forgetting the trials and stuff like that. So I'll definitely be using it in Path of Exile 2. The next setting is cheat sheets. So if we check the box to enable cheat sheets, there's a bunch of different options here. Let's go ahead and just create a basic new one. I'm going to call it test. I'll add that. And we need to do some setup here first. So, for example, I'm going to say that I want to do something when I'm in the currency exchange. So this currency exchange, first I need to calibrate it to show, like, when do I want this cheat sheet to come up? I want it to come up when I'm in the currency exchange. So I'm going to grab something that is specific to the currency exchange, and then I'll test for it. It says it's positive. That is working. If I close the currency exchange, I will test it again. It says it's negative. I'll reopen it. And I'll test it. And it says it's positive. It is checking for that text in that location. Then we click edit. And then here's where you've got some options. You can paste an image right onto here. So you just find an image that you want and you copy onto the clipboard and paste it. And that will make it show up when you hold the expected key. Or you could do capture yourself. So maybe I want to capture my currency tab, and I want to capture this bit. So I can click on snip, it opens this little overlay, click on snip again, it takes a screenshot, I'll show it. That's the screenshot it took. So now, if I were to close out of this, and then I hit Alt and then the Omni key while the currency exchange is open, it'll open up that screenshot. Like, this is a pretty bad example, but if you ever want to have something that's like, okay, let's take a screenshot of this part of the skill tree or something, and you want to show up in specific times, there's tons of ways you could use this. This is just a poor example. There are other types of cheat sheets. It's set up so that you can also open an app or bring it to the front. So if we delete this one, and I'm also going to do currency exchange here, test it, edit it, and then there's, okay, window title. So I might have PoE2 trade Path of Exile. So now, when we're up here, if you have a website you want to come up, you can do the same thing. Alt, middle mouse, and it pops open that window. So you can pull open a window pretty easily. Maybe you want to pull up your build guide. Maybe you want to pull up your path of building. Maybe you want to pull up the trade site to a specific place when you're in specific areas. Lots of options you can do there. Tons of things that you could do. Again, this is kind of a bad example. We'll delete that one as well. And then the last one is advanced, where you can kind of create your own tooltip. So there's a lot you can do here. I'm not going to go into the details of this one. There's a lot of information in the wiki page if you need more. The next tool is clone frames. So clone frames lets you kind of grab a section of the screen and move it somewhere else so it's more visible. So for example, maybe I want a clone frame of my charm down here. I can call it charm and hit enter, and that'll open a new window where I can do a lot of settings here. The main one is you can edit it. When you're in edit mode, you should be able to left click and right click to set the bounds and middle click to set the location. For some reason, for me, the left click, right click isn't working. So I'm going to edit it normally. I'm going to use a middle click to grab the coordinates 692, 2040. Grab them in here, 692, 2040. And then this doesn't need to be 200 by 200. Maybe it only needs to be 50 by 50. Looks like 70 by 70 maybe. But you can adjust this how you want. So 80 by 80 looks good enough for me. And then you can scale it up. This is really important. Let's do 300 by 300. So it's really important, really big, and it needs to be right in the middle of the screen so I know when this is up. And then you can save it. And now when you're running around in places other than your hideout or towns, it gets disabled there. Once you leave, you can see that it's grabbed that section of the screen. It's literally just effectively taken a picture of what's down here and moving it up here. But you can see that, okay, yeah, I have this, it's up. It's not clickable. You can't do anything. It's just taking a screenshot and making it bigger and moving around your screen. So you can tell when that's, being used. So you can do more things. You can have multiple up. You can grab things for like skill cooldowns. You can grab, maybe your life bar and move it, or your mana globe and move it around wherever you want it to be. Maybe you want to have the mini map small, but over here, I don't know. There's lots of things you could do with it. I generally don't use it, so I'll just delete this clone frame and call it a day. Next up, we have the Enchant Finder. The Enchant Finder is useful for finding enchants using the distilled emotions. So if you check this box, then you can hit Alt while hovering over a distilled emotion, and it will pull open this list. It is also available with a button up here if the list isn't opening for you for some reason. Then you can also hover over and you can hold Alt on there, and you can see that incremented here. So this distilled disgust currently says I have 0. Hold Alt, it updates it. So you can just go through and update all your amounts, and now you can hit calculate and it'll show you all the enchants that you can do for your distilled emotions that you have. Then that lets you do a couple different searches. So you can do keyword searches. You're like, oh, I'm looking for things that are critical and quarterstaff. Well, whirling assault is something I can do that has quarterstaff and critical in it. You can turn those off. Maybe you want damage and attack and skill. You can do all kinds of keyword searches that way. You can also search here. So if I wanted to search for sword, now these are the 3 that I can do that have sword in the description somewhere. So this can help you to know what oils you need, or not oils, they're distilled emotions that you need to enchant your gear. Next up, we have item info. If we check the box to enable item info, when you omni key over an item, it'll open a info panel, which will tell you some information about it. You get to see what tier the stuff is, how well it rolled within the tier, some of the information about it. It kind of distills some of the information down to be a little bit quicker at a glance. You can see that, oh, this one rolled 100% on reduced attack and cast speed. So you can use this to tell how good a piece of gear might be, based on, what tier it rolled and where it rolled within the tier. And the next tool is map info. Map info is similar to item info, but more specifically tailored towards maps and map mods specifically, so that it can help you not run maps that are counter to your build, or find maps that are very powerful for you to run. As far as the standard way to search for these kind of maps is by using regex. If you are good or use a regex generator, this will usually be faster to do regex, but if you want a more visual style, or don't mind going a little bit slower, this can be very powerful. If you have this enabled and you middle mouse on a map, it will list some things. First, it shows it has 4 mods, 2 missing mods, and has some information about what the mods are. So some of these are, damaging mods that you might not want, and some of these are specific mods you want. Maybe you're searching for gold right now, so you're like, oh, gold is good. You can use the 1, 2, 3, and 4 buttons to color the mods. So 1 is green, 2 is orange, 3 is red, and 4 is this pinkish purple. If you do the green one, maybe you do those for ones that you actually want to look for. And then you're like, well, chilled ground, I really don't like, so I'm going to put that on, orange, so I know to try to avoid the chilled ground, but go for the gold. And this extra fire damage, my fire resistance is terrible. This will get me killed, so I'm going to do red. Red gets me killed. However you want to use the colors, is really up to you. But then you don't even really need to look at what this is once you have everything colored, so that um, oh, there's 3 mods that, one's bad, one's good, one's kind of watch out for. And then there's an additional mod that I haven't categorized for whatever reason. Um, Maybe you want to categorize it. Maybe it's just one that you don't care about, so you left it alone. Completely up to you. Um, Once you have it colored like this, it remembers those colors and it will show up. If you have another map that has similar mods on it, it may show up like this one has the gold mod on it. So it'll help you to find things. It takes a bit to set up, and it is slower than using a regex. So a lot of people tend to go that way, but it is out there and it is very visual. If visual is something that is important to you, you can also, like, if there's a mod that you know immediately you don't like maybe you don't like recovery, so you can search here and be like, oh, I don't like less recovery. That bricks my build. You can color it right here, so you don't have to find it on a map first. You can just color them by searching here, um, and then you can also pin the mods here to have them have easier access. So there's more options. It's if this is what you're looking for, it's very useful. I'm probably going to stick with using regex to find the maps that I do or don't want to run. Then the next section is the map tracker. So this helps you to track maps during gameplay. So um, with this checkbox enabled, you can check some of these boxes for some features you want to be tracking. Maybe you care about the build info, maybe you don't. And so you can check some boxes to have it start tracking. And then when you go into a map, which I will just run a quick map. Press the Omni key to start the kill tracker. So you push your middle mouse and it counts how many, or it reads this from the log. And then you go through and you do whatever you're going to be doing. All right, when you're done with a map and you leave the map, long click on the map for it to show in the history. So I used one portal. I killed 53 monsters. It'll track more information if you have more things tracked. And it'll track it over a longer period of time, and then you can export it as a CSV file if you want to. The next section is minor QOL tools, quality of life tools. There are 2 in here currently. One is an alarm/timer, which when you have this enabled and you hold tab, there's some buttons up here. You can click plus, name it, pizza, or no, time first, 15 minutes for pizza, and then you hit start, and it kind of hides it, and you can hold tab to see it. And if I were to set this to 3 seconds and start it, once the timer expires, then it stays at the top of your screen. You see the name, you see the flickering timer. It gives you just a little bit of a reminder to go do whatever it is, in or out of the game. In Path of Exile 1, it's good for setting a timer for your shipments, so that, like, oh, in 3 hours and 3.5 hours, I need to go check on my shipment, and then I forget to check on my shipment, and then I do like 4 or 5 maps, and then I'm like, oh crap, I was supposed to go do that, and then I go do it. If I have this timer up, then I don't forget to do it. In Path of Exile 2, I'm sure there's other timer related things that would be useful. And then you click it to reset it, and you right click to clear it. Then there's also the notepad. This gives you some similar information as the cheat sheets. If you click on the notepad, you can add a new note. You can call it stuff. And you can add tabs, you can add whatever notes you want, and it's just kind of a notepad. But you can also do this widget feature, which lets you scroll through, have multiple notes, and is similar to the cheat sheets custom feature, but less involved. So there's lots of note stuff you can do here. I don't use notes very much, so I'm going to leave that off. The next feature is search strings. So search strings is very nice for things like I was saying earlier, the map waystone filters. So you can click on this PoE regex. That'll open a website where you can do a regex generator. Click on PoE 2 to get to the PoE 2 version, waystones, and maybe you want to find waystones that have waystone drop chance over 100%, you know, and you match maybe you don't like shocked ground because it kills you. So prefixes are good modifiers, match when you find it. Suffixes are bad, will not highlight if it has it. So maybe this is all I care about. I can copy this. I can go into the game. What you would do is you'd paste it here, and it would highlight the maps that match your requirements. But maybe you don't want to do that every time. So what you can do is you do in here, you call this waystones, hit enter, calibrate it. I want to calibrate it on something that is specific to the waystone tab. Something that's specific to waystone tab is the waystone portion. I don't want to capture the numbers because that'll change as things get put in. Let's just grab the bottom of, you know, these, and then I'll test it. Now, by grabbing these, if I have the tier 1 highlighted, it's now different. So it's not going to find it. Same with tier 2. Same with tier 3. But as soon as I'm off that, now it will, because I'm not capturing that stuff anymore. Most of my time, I'm going to live up here in the red maps, so that doesn't bother me. Then you edit it. And we'll call this standard. And standard has this. Oh, let me go back. I have to recapture it. Copy. Paste. And that's all you really need. So now, while I'm in this and it passes, if I hold my middle mouse, it's going to fill in that search string. If my requirements change, I can go in and change it. You can also, maybe I have another build that I can't do penetrates, you know, whatever these additional features I can't do. So I'll copy that and I'll do, you know, build 2, you know, name it something that makes sense to me and paste that one in. So with doing it this way, if I now middle mouse button, it gives me my standard, which I can do that, or build 2, which I can do that one. And so you can do multiple search strings pretty quickly. Once you've got something set up, then you don't have to go keep copying and pasting. It's very nice. You can use that for more than just your maps. Maybe you have something for when you're doing, you know, the ROG items. You have a search string you want to have in here, or the Gwen items. you have a search string you want for here, you know, anywhere that has a search window, you can use this search strings feature. Next is the Sekhema Planner. So this will help you with the trial of the Sekhema. And if you enable this and then go into the relic altar and then hold tab, it'll open up this little overlay, which you can then right click on the upper left of each of your relics that you have in your layout, and it will tell you what the summary of everything that these relics do. And maybe you want to know what's giving you all of your increased maximum life. So you can click on that and it'll highlight the ones that give you the increased maximum life. If you also want to see what includes drops, you can see this one is one of the two. This gives me both. It only does the last two that you've clicked because these can only have 2 mods. So if you want to look for ones that are giving you, you know, honor and bosses take more damage, well, these 3 have 1, but none of them have both. So that can help you to figure out what you have and which ones maybe you don't need anymore. Maybe you don't care about this water duplicate chance. It's like, okay, I don't need this, but it's giving me my maximum honor. I still kind of want that. So that's first step. Then when you go into the trial of the Sekhemas, once you're at the map screen for the trial, you can hold tab and then press space. The first time you come here, you're going to have to do some calibration. In Path of Exile 2, to calibrate the rooms, you grab a vertical slice in the middle of the room, of an empty room. And to calibrate paths, you have to grab the middle of a horizontal bit. If done correctly, when you hit scan, it's going to scan the screen quick, and it's going to find all the rooms, and it's going to find all the paths. Each of these numbers tells you how many possible paths there are leaving that room. So all of these only have 1 because they all go to the boss. Then when you're here, once you're done with that, you can hit escape and it goes away. Then you can hold tab. You don't have to hit space every time. And you can do a couple of things. The first one is if for some reason you know you really want to go to this room, you can click on this room and it will turn it green. And you really want to avoid this room, so you right click on this room and it turns it pink. So what that means is I can get to this room. My first, I can pick any of them, doesn't matter. My second, I can, definitely don't pick this one. My, next one, I need to pick 12 or I'm not going to make it to 5. If you right click on a room and it blocks off completely, well, now you can't, if you don't do this one, you can't get to these ones. And these all go towards that blocked off room. It helps you to kind of plan your path, and middle mouse is selecting the opposite. So green is a goal room, where it's a goal. Pink is right click, and that is an avoid room. And middle mouse is a I've selected this room. Okay, if I select that one and then I select this one and then I select this one, it kind of guides you through your selections. So that helps you to plan out your trial of the Sekhema runs to hopefully make things a little bit easier. And the last tool for now is Statlas. If you enable this tool, there are a couple of settings for map tracker data or local knowledge notable effect. You can turn those on or off if you care about them. With this enabled, you can open up your map device, cursor over a map, hold tab, and it'll give you some information about it. It'll give you a general layout. It'll give you a screenshot of what the boss is like here. The yellow text at the bottom there is the biome effect, and then the text below that is the tracker data. So you can say, oh, I've done one map. It took me a little over a minute, and I was getting 43 kills per minute. So if you are tracking all your maps. You can get some information here of, oh, I don't want to go this way, or I do want to go this way. What about backwash? Oh, backwash is laid out like this. Vol Factory is laid out like this, and so you can kind of know before you go there whether you want to go there or not. So it gives you a little bit of information about your atlas. And that's everything that's currently available for Path of Exile 2 with Exile UI. It's one of my favorite tools for Path of Exile 1, and I'm glad to see that it also supports Path of Exile 2, another great game. Again, I'm not the developer of the app. Lilokin is the developer of the app, and you can support him over on the GitHub. There's links for donations. I will have a link to the GitHub in the description. Leave a comment below. How will you use this tool? What features will you use? And what do you want to see added to this tool? Thanks for watching. Have a good one.